amazing Earthlings and aliens out there that are tuning in. Welcome to the first episode of a new weekly podcast that is meant to inform, have a little bit of fun, be helpful, and to inspire UFO enthusiasts and those that are new to this amazing and mysterious topic about UFOs, alien visitation, other worlds, and stuff that's possibly related to things beyond the stars. With us today, we have a beautiful and popular female UFO enthusiast. You guys have probably all heard of her. And before we even bring her in, I really want to say thank you for everyone that's into this new live cast that we are doing. I've been planning this since January. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll start it in March. And then March is here and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's already almost over. I have to get this started and just interview some people that are incredible. With all that being said, let's bring in AlienGirl111.
Hey!
Hi there. Thank you for being here with us.
What's up, Cristina? Thank you for having me. I'm such a big fan of your work. I love you on the debrief. I love you on everything. I'm going nuts, man. I'm hanging out with all my fun alien friends lately, and it's like the coolest, most awesome thing ever. So thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you for taking the time to be here and be my number one first person to interview. Well, I guess just
awesome. I'll tell everybody when you're on Ancient Aliens or whatever we do, whatever's the next thing, right? Like Ancient Aliens is kind of,
it's like,
see, that's what I think is interesting because you're young. We're just talking about this. You're a young girl. Yeah, because Ancient Aliens came out. Anyway, you're very structured and I love it. So I tend to be the talker. So let's hear. I can't wait. Tell me more.
So just about you. So obviously we're going to go with the first few questions about tell me a little about yourself, how you got interested in the UFO topic, how did you get involved in your research? Did you have people that were there on the journey with you, or did you do it on your own? So let's just start from there and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes, you know?
Yeah, it's been such an interesting journey because people have been asking me this all the time. And I was talking with Ollie on Alien Addict this week about it as well. And I say, oh gosh, he's just really good at probing for questions. And he made me realize like the Phoenix lights, let me see, I'm 30. I don't even remember how old I am sometimes, Cristina. Let me do the math. But I'm 35, right? And so 2021 minus 1997, give me a second, minus 1997 is 24. So 35 minus 24. So I was 11 years old when the Phoenix lights happened. And I remember waking up and seeing all over the major media when the internet wasn't here, when basically we had NBC, ABC, if you were lucky and, you know, you could get cable, that was the thing. And seeing a giant mothership roll through Phoenix and thinking like, what the hell? Like I'm 11 years old trying to process this. Because then Smithington Fife, the senator, came out later and said it was real. And that was whoa. Because then when I started to research it, and then when I was about 17, I got a copy of Lynn Katie's The Phoenix Lights official documentary. And when she made that, that was the second intelligent person, not intelligent, because that's a loaded term, but the second person who would have like a high level of education, like a PhD, right by Greer. So between Greer and seeing intelligent, like I said, I don't like to frame a college path as being intelligent because that's not the case. But they have college paths and they have PhDs, right? And like that back in 2001, that held a little bit more weight than it did because that was before all the information that we have. So that was definitely like it legitimized it for me. And then seeing the spaceship when I was like 11 and thinking like, what is this? No, everybody's saying this is fake. Like just didn't jive with me. I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Here I am in the heart of alien country. And so I think you saw some things that I tweeted. Like I was at the mall yesterday and there was just total rando alien sculpture. So So I just take pictures of stuff around Albuquerque. I'm going to be going down to like the official Roswell crash site soon. And there's Roswell, which isn't where it crashed. It crashed in Corona, New Mexico. And there's like a little plaque there. And it's fun because tourists don't know how to get there. But like, I know it's 10 cattle guards down, like a cattle guard to keep the cattle away from getting outside of the lot. So it's like 10 cattle guards down this street, take a left turn. So yeah, it's kind of always been around for me. But even though aliens are very popular here, no one's able to get over the ridicule. Like I bought something at the little shop yesterday that's selling the cool thing, and I always like to mess with people if I'm wearing like alien earrings or something like this. And I always said like, are you a believer? And she was like, I don't know. And I said, you hear about all this stuff going on with the U.S. I know I'm harassing cashiers. This is why I run a show. I was like, what'd you think about all that crazy stuff in the news? And she's like, I know, it's crazy. And I'm like, you're not paying attention to this. Come on, let's hear some Marco Rubio love. No. So that's it. That's how I got into it. And I think there's intelligent life somewhere in the cosmos for sure. And I'm stubborn about that, especially after this year.
Yeah, I don't know.
I won't be humble. I won't. I don't care. Call me. I don't care. I won't be humble about this because I will win one day. Somewhere deep in the archives of YouTube, hundreds of years from now, they'll be like, oh, this crazy chick. Yeah, like if anybody's going to watch stuff then.
Who knows? I mean, we still watch it from the 1940s, 1920s, and we're like, yeah, still digging it. So I think in that time, people will probably watch these kinds of videos to get like ancient knowledge, like,
yes,
vintage.
right. Yes, vintage. Yeah.
Like
exactly.
So were you, when you were starting this journey from the age of 11, were you on your own, or like were your parents supportive of you? Did you have any friends that did research with you? Like, how did that work?
Sure. I was raised Catholic. So dad always kind of came along to church to kind of just do what he always knew, born in 1952, he's 69 now. And, I'd sit there and be like, Dad, what's all this God stuff? Like, what do you think? And he'd be like, I don't know, ask your mother. And so, but I remember asking him, things about like evolution, and him saying, well, I think what happened was God came down and saw a monkey or something and said, you're going to be a human, and touched him and became a monkey. So they were open-minded. They like crystals and stuff. But along the journey, I'd say not too many people. There's been a few people more in like my 5D world with like you guys, which is what gets me really addicted to it. Because like I said, I told you I harassed the cashier. I just like constantly, and my poor family and everyone around me dealing with all of my alien talk. So like this is really for them. Because then they don't have to hear me talk about it. Thanks. Wow, thank you. Somebody just brought me coffee. Wow. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's cool. Coffee and a podcast. Thank you. Yeah, but other people in my life for sure have a lot of support with it. And I think the biggest reason, so along the way, friends have been sort of into it, but what set me off? What set me off? Why did I start the show? I started the show because of just 2020 sucked, which is why I have 2021 here. It's a different year. And it was kind of like, I felt like no one was getting it. Like I felt like no one was getting it. Like I'm talking about, even when Perseverance went up, I was like, they're going to find a fossil, you guys. Like they're going to find something. And talking about it over and over again and being like, I mean, maybe it's the pyramids on Mars or whatever, but more than likely we'll find like something. We're going to find something. And all sorts of scientists have been saying that. And then like when it went up, I would talk to them about it and they'd be like, oh yeah, fossil on Mars, ha ha ha. But like astronauts, scientists, they're talking about it too. I'm not in the dark. That's why I'm like, I'm not going to be humble about my belief in intelligent life on other planets. I won't. because I think the ball's in my court. You can talk all you want about flying machines and debunk how we can't do that. But if we look at it from the human perspective, that's incredibly detrimental. And I do think Oumuamua was an alien satellite probe based on the trajectory of how it swung around Earth. And I think I just read Extraterrestrial by Avi Loeb, who writes the whole book about Oumuamua. And in it, he talks about like our biggest, like, why can't we even just entertain the idea? Like, why are we avoiding that theory? And this is like this Avi Loeb really knows his stuff. Like, he's part of all sorts of astronomical societies, like top expert in the field is saying we need to entertain the idea of extraterrestrial intelligent, but like some debunker on Twitter will get mad when you ask them if they believe in aliens, or I'll be like, well, you know, it's just a belief. You can't say that, you know, I'm not talking about flat Earth. Okay. I know the difference between fact and opinion. And if you want to go at it, we can go at it and we can talk about it. I know the difference. Yeah, I know when I talk about Venusians and all the fun stuff like Valiant Thor and Corey Good, I love that stuff. It's so much fun to talk about, but there's no fact behind it. Okay, like I'll talk about it all day long. Maybe I'll get that little nugget of truth that'll push me along the way, and I'll be like, maybe Corey was right. But a lot of it, I try to have. I'm an enthusiast about all of it. But I do try to come back and rein it in to be logical, because I am so vocal about it, and I do want people to express their opinions to me, because I think it's important that I express my opinion too. So yeah, that's kind of how it came about. Just a rush of 2020, like making me. And then you had the Pentagon in April 2020, and they were like, these TikTok videos were real. And that's when I was done, because I got my first show was in August of this year with one of my besties, and we just looked at a video of Skinny Bob. Because I was like, this is happening. Like, this is happening now. I got tired of the boys club. All the boys. Like, I get tired of it. They're all like, oh, we know what's going on. Like, even if I'm just around a table of people. And I think that was something like in 2019, I'd let them roll with it. And now in 2021, I'm like, no, I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm sorry. Hate me all you want. I don't care. So now I just talk back, and that's been hard for people, but you guys like it.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Yeah. Having your opinion, but also having some logic behind your opinion is valid. And it opens your minds and other people's minds to understand your perspective and see where you're standing, versus not saying anything at all, or not even being a part of the discussion.
Exactly. Or telling yourself you don't know what's going on. So that was the problem. I was always like, people think I'm crazy because of this alien thing. And then I think like it's just, but this era, this last year and a half has been a time when we do need to really focus on fact versus opinion. For many different reasons. We live in a country with freedom of speech, and they shouldn't be scared of these things that we're talking about. I don't understand some of the things that happen. I don't put Wikipedia articles in any of the references on my videos, because I don't want my doctor going on Wikipedia and saying, oh, it looks like we need to do a little bit of this to one of your organs. No. Why are you going to use that to trust what someone in front of you is saying? Like, it's so easy. These CIA people, you go on Etsy and you go on these people, they're all searching for copyright left and right. If you don't think there's a team of people in the government who are looking to find this information and suppress it to the best of their ability, and if you think big tech is not part of the government, you are strongly mistaken. It was proven. Snowden, look it up. They're tracking everything. They can jump into your phone. They can jump into everything. That's why I tweet everything. That's why I don't care. That's why I put it out there. They're already going to track you anyway. So I know. And that was the other thing. I was scared of the MIB a lot before I wanted to start the show. I didn't want people coming at me. I didn't want people finding it. And then I just stopped caring. I just stopped caring. I was like, whatever. If this is the end of the world, I might as well just start talking about it. And I really started to think that right before the election, Trump was going to pull out the UFO card. And I really thought we were going to be dealing with a second threat that would help reorganize society in a way that's convenient to others.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope that wasn't too specific. I tried to avoid it.
No, it's okay. And talking about presidents, before we even just like go to the next question, talking about presidents, I think for every single election since I want to say Jimmy Carter, but the president after Jimmy Carter, who was he? And well, anyways,
Reagan? I don't know. Let me Google it.
Yeah, I mean, well, anyways, Reagan's also important in this conversation. But
no kidding.
All these presidents were like, yeah, if I'm elected, I will disclose aliens. I will find this information. I will bring it out to the public for years. It's been decades. And here we are still kind of like, oh, are aliens real? When are we going to get disclosure? And every single president has been saying it. Even when Bernie Sanders was running, he was saying, if I'm president, I will disclose it. And yet here we are in 2021, the 21st century, and we're still like, when is it going to happen?
Yeah, so
out there.
I did a video on what was it? The Florida Disclosure Group, the UFO Disclosure Group of Florida, and they actually had obtained a license in Washington D.C. to protest. And I went and I looked everywhere because I found it in a new news article when I was looking up stuff, and they said this group. Anyway, everything was down. All of their Twitter, any information before it happened was down. It was called the ETI Florida Disclosure Group of Florida Disclosure Party. I got a video on my channel on it, and it's a really bad video because that was like early on. And sorry, the point being is all of their stuff was gone, and later it turned out that when I was asking people in the chats and asking around, they thought maybe it had been a branch, like an octopus arm of QAnon. So it's interesting how that all disappeared. Yeah. And I think the UFO card, the UFO vote, it's so unfortunate because I don't like being political. I really don't. But the UFO vote is there. Like I told you, I believe in extraterrestrials on it. I do think the government could provide me evidence that would confirm that information. Are other people ready for it? No. Are they going to believe it? No. Do I care? No, because I know what's real facts and what's not. The government admitted that those 3 videos were in fact unidentified flying objects over airspace that are like they're deactivating nuclear heads. Like, why isn't this talked about? I don't understand.
No, I mean, even in present day, it's just kind of like not a topic that you really talk about because you're automatically classified as a conspiracy theorist or things of that nature. And like people don't want to interact with you on those types of topics. So, I mean, like,
right.
There's only a small people you can really talk to, get information, get people's opinions on to broaden the knowledge that we have and what we can do to be better.
Yeah, I love hanging out with skeptics. I do, like, because I'm the crazy one and I'm sitting there trying to like be quiet, and I make them watch Bob Lazar, and I just like look at them because I know they don't believe in this stuff, like the world's 2,000 years old and like deep into it, and they just laugh it off. I don't know. I should have probably found a better documentary, but I think that's one of the best. But yeah, so I like hanging out with skeptics. They bring out the rabbit hole because I don't understand why they don't believe. I know they don't. I know they can dismiss me as, go to hell. So anyway, but I don't know why they can't believe in my ideas either.
I don't have the facts, like the hardcore.
Yes.
Paper. But
yes.
How do you think being interested in this topic has changed your perception of the world and the universe? Like, how has that changed your day-to-day life?
Well, I would say mostly opening up myself psychically as much as possible, being a more expansive individual, finding a value set for myself that's beyond what's here on Earth, the desire to communicate and to inspire others that we shouldn't be scared. We should be brave. Be very brave with your words. So I'm specific about the words I choose. I'm specific about the arguments I talk about, and I just love it sitting with somebody, give them fact after fact after fact after fact, because people won't listen to it if you're trying to sit there like. They get offended. They think I'm like trying to be mean, and I'm not. And then a fight starts, right? Like, oh, you think I'm stupid? No. But Marco Rubio did say that this week. But this stuff is happening. The SETI director this week said that there's probably already life on Mars right now. So I don't understand. So we can have the conversation, but you're getting like it's not going to be pretty because I'm not going to stand down. So that's how it's changed me. And it happened like Pentagon confirming the UFOs. And I was like, this is all going down. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. Like, watching Third Phase since 2010, and the Cousins brothers are like, it's going to happen. They're going to tell us about the UFOs. And then they did in 2017. And then, like, when it got hit, I was like, this sucks. I want to be part of the conversation. Why are all the boys talking about this? Like, this sucks. I'm going on and I'm going to talk about it. And it's such a weird little world if you're a girl, because you just want your voice to be heard. I'm like, I love Linda Moulton Howe. But there's this, and I'm so happy, like, because you were on Unidentified Celebrity Review with Luis, and it's just like this fresh, real energy. Like, I'm a real person. I'm not on the dark web. This is who I am. And I'm not, I don't know some of the, because you're back in the YouTube days, like, oh my gosh, the all of the crazy YouTube documentaries were awesome. Like, people loading 2-hour documentaries about the Illuminati, and I don't know. That stuff's all dead now because, they're trying to change the content of YouTube, which is a good idea. There just needs to be other platforms available. Twitch is pretty cool. I think Twitch is a pretty cool one to go with. I don't know what you can get away with there, but obviously I'm gonna go try. So we'll see. We'll see what they'll tell me to shut up about. So I just don't like being labeled as being in a group called QAnon, like you were saying. Let's take all of the conspiracy theories together. Let's label someone as being part of what's basically, I think they were confirmed terrorist organization because they attacked the Capitol building. So let's just take the people who believe in aliens and say that they're part of that group too.
Right.
So then we'll dismiss everything they say. It's too much though. There's too many smart people now. There's too many people your age who were super young and got exposed to ancient aliens. There's too many people my age who were young and saw a mothership roll through Phoenix and they're like, what? What are you talking about? Like, no, there's things going on and it's beyond intelligent life on another planet. So before we have the conversation that the Phoenix lights are flares or whatever, first we're going to like acknowledge that they're there. They're there somewhere because they're flying over metro cities.
Vidal has a question for you, Amy, and he said, have you had any weird experiences?
Yes.
We missed it. So if you want to share that.
Yes, definitely. I am open about it, but full disclosure, the things that I have been able to take a picture of are not things that I find official evidence. I don't have any testimony. I don't have any of that except what I saw. And personally, for me, whenever people say what they saw, that's it. That's all it is. Unless someone else was with me, I can't validate it. I don't have another account. So I just want to say that before I put it out there. But I live by an Air Force base. Actually, I live by the Air Force base that Richard Doty used to work at, who talked about Project Mockingbird on, I think it was Unacknowledged. Anyway, so I'm walking my dog and I'm into this stuff. And that's the other problem. People, if you're into it, people don't think it's real when you see something. I do think I probably saw military craft that had been back engineered in being driven probably by humans. I think that's what I saw. I'm gonna be honest with you once I analyze it. But yeah, it was a V formation, probably about 6 stories up. I thought it was like a flock of birds, and then I realized it was 10 p.m. and then it rolled right in front of me, and like I can see when a plane goes from here to here. I know what that looks like. I know what a helicopter looks like. I live like in the middle of a city, like everything's super loud where I'm at with airplanes and everything. And then it was super silent. There was no noise. And it rolled over me and it went super fast, deep into the dark night, and it disappeared. And that's not how planes are. And it happened for 10 seconds. And I was so excited. I started jumping. My dog Willie saw it. If only Willie could talk. Willie. And then I told everyone and no one believed me but my mom. So yeah, there you go, Signal. That's what I got. I have another one where I was like doing CE5 and I got a speck of white in the sky. I don't know. I was mumbling to myself, like, stay here, let me take a picture. So I did. I've got that picture. And in it, I was like, okay, let's really try. I was like, if you guys let me take a photo of you, I'll put it on the internet. That's what I said in my head. And then they let me take a photo of them. So I put it on the internet. I like their little ship or whatever, weather balloon. I don't know. And I put it on the internet and that was my first video. But it's not like, I don't know. It's not something I can 100% confirm, but I've never been abducted. I just have a feeling that I need to follow. So, and there are people I believe that have been abducted or had experiences who I think are pretty rational, and I think I do a good job filtering them out. So
yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that don't have evidence or really anything to back up that information, and when you're passing that information around, it's false information. And that's a big reason to why we're placed in this like loony bin, because we don't have the evidence, and the ones that we do, it's just not sufficient enough. So that's that.
Yeah, and that's what I think's legit. Is like I could see like back engineer technology near a military base being like, you know, tested a little bit. So I'm even open to the idea that it was an alien. But the second I told people that I thought I saw a UFO, immediately they were like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I think you're and I was like, okay, wow. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just go on the internet and start talking about it.
Hey, someone will be out there to listen you out.
Yes. Yes. And it takes a lot of bravery to just kind of even say something like that. And so, yeah, so I try to make it honest that like I don't know what I saw. I saw something cool.
There you go. I mean, that's already cool in itself. Like I thought it was cool, and then I think that's a big reason to when people have UFO sightings. And what I analyze on my YouTube, it's like it interested someone enough to take out their phone and record it. And especially those people that have those expressions, those reactions, I think it adds so much more, in a way, kind of like credibility, because we know what planes look like, we know what balloons look like, so on and so forth. So when someone is like actually shocked to see something from the sky and share it, knowing that they might be ridiculed, that's a big step. That's a lot of courage. And they believe that it's a UFO of some sort.
Yes. Now, and that's why, oh no, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, that's why I wear all my alien gear everywhere, is because whenever they comment on it, you know, like I got my shirt. This is my shirt from my other alien friend, UFO Jane. This is from her show, Hollywood, the Weird Hollywood podcast. Her stuff's awesome. So, you know, like I'll go out and I'll wear this stuff. And when people say, hey, you know, what do you think of, I like your earrings. And I'll be like, are you a believer? You believe, right? Because nobody's bringing it up. And then they're like, and so I love it when they're like, yeah, I am. Like, yeah, you are. It's great. It's great that they actually, you know, they're into it. Some people are. Most people believe in it. Most people believe. Most people believe. Most people believe.
Well, I guess more than just belief, they just take it as true. They're like, yeah, obviously, but I don't think a lot of them take a step further and to really think about it, to really pique that curiosity. They just say, yeah, they're real, okay, and then they're back on their phone looking at whatever else. Right. It's like it's just now become a fact. Well, I wouldn't say a fact, but more of a realistic view of the universe that we're not the only one.
Right. Yes, and we need more people. I was upset Elon Musk said that we shouldn't be looking for extraterrestrial life. I thought that was a huge jab on the community. I think people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Elon Musk, they need to come forward and they need to say, I'm full disclosure, whatever, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I have a really weird story about Neil deGrasse Tyson, especially considering he doesn't talk about aliens anymore. Guess he doesn't remember me because I was 16 when I had this conversation with him. He came to my school, okay, and did a talk. I know that's crazy. This was kind of like before he was famous at all. He was just like an astrophysicist chilling. And he did this whole thing about his whole 1 hour presentation was how if aliens came down, we would have developed a cosmic consciousness. That's not the Neil deGrasse Tyson we talked about today. Why? You got to sell books, right? Elon's got to sell rockets. We got other things we're focusing on, which is cool. We got to have that super focus to be successful. I get it. But I went afterwards, right? Of course, I'm 16. I saw these Phoenix lights. What is this? And I go up to him and I'm waiting behind the other kid who wants to be an astrophysicist. I don't want to be an astrophysicist, but he's been talking about aliens. So I walk up to him. I'm sorry, Neil. I can call you out. Like, it's okay. You can tell me I'm a liar. That's the whole point of this. I don't care if you think I'm a liar. But I said, hey, I was super nervous. I was like, do you really believe that extraterrestrials are real? And I'm not kidding you. And this is one of those things that makes me like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with the lies. I'm not kidding you. He was like, of course they're real. He even put his arms out like that. He was like, of course they're real. Yeah. And now I hear him on these things and he's like, oh, aliens aren't real. I mean, but he never says that he doesn't. So I think you got people like Elon and him. They think it's out there, but they got cars to sell. They got books to sell. And I respect it. Like, if you have different opinions and you're trying to invest in a company, he's made bad decisions before by smoking marijuana on the Joe Rogan show. And that almost made him not the CEO. They almost fired him from the only job he created. So, I think they all believe. I think intelligent people most. I'm really excited about Marco Rubio. He delivered that stuff on TMZ exactly like it should have been. And he didn't sit there and say, I don't think it's aliens. Or he didn't say it's not aliens. Aliens are dumb. He's like, I know, we got the whole alien thing. And he said this, whether it's a different country, it's bad news. And if it's aliens, it's bad news, which is a legitimate response. I know everybody wants to avoid the threat word. I get it. Right. But it's a legitimate response when you don't know. And the black op money is just so insane that even I don't think the president knows. I think Greer's right on that. I don't think they tell him anything. I think Donald Trump pushed and pushed and pushed just because he's bullheaded and he wants to know and he wants to know now. And he really wanted to know everything about Roswell and everything. He figured it out. He was ready to disclose. That's why that was the last thing he signed into office on the COVID relief bill was 180 day till disclosure. He wanted people to really know. And he got the JFK files dropped, which actually proved that the Surgeon General at the JFK shooting confirmed that it was impossible, right? The magic bullet theory. It was impossible for him to be shot at the two different angles he was shot at without it being from multiple people. So that came out. Nobody cared. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, JFK got shot by two people, but we'll throw it on Lee Harvey Oswald because he seems like a crazy, right? Yeah,
absolutely. And on that note, President Trump is also no longer president, but Donald Trump was also the person that created the galaxy. Oh my gosh, what's it called? I don't say Guardians of the Galaxy, like the movie. Space Force. Thank you. I don't want to quote the movie, but he created that. So I think he's one of the presidents that I think, I wouldn't say push the hardest, but publicly push the hardest, dropped a lot of more bombs about alien disclosure. And kind of in his discussions in the public, he was saying, yeah, there's these things out there and we're prepping ourselves for space.
Yes.
So that was a big bomb that wasn't really exposed to the best of its ability.
Right. And I don't know if you watch Nocturnal News, but he posted something today. I don't know. Like there could even be stuff on Mars already. There could be so many craft already. It won't be shocking when they're like, we built a moon base. Like it's just they're just gonna be like, we built it. We sent some AI robots up here from Boston Dynamics or whatever, and they built it. And we'll be like, cool. And it's been there for 60 years, and there's aliens living in the back.
And that's the mentality. Okay. Like that's it. Yeah. There's no like it's like, oh yeah, sure, I believe it. Which is insane.
Mm-hmm. That's why I want to start doing this. Like I want to have a big old party. Like I want parties. I need to be around people who get it. Because it's just going to be like, oh yeah, aliens are real. No, that's not what it's going to be for me. Okay. We're going on a giant Zoom conference. Everybody's going to get a beverage of their choice, coffee or whatever. And we're all going to be happy and we're all going to celebrate and we're all going to freaking be like, it happened, you know? Yeah. And then, and that's it. That's all I want. That's all I want. I just want to know. I just want to push. I want the future generations to be able to, explore that idea and take it in. And it's a big, wild world out there. And, we don't know. We don't know anything. We don't know anything.
Do you think people would react differently if the government came clean and admitting that they are tracking objects in our sky and believing them to be coming from other worlds? Like, how do you think people would react with full disclosure, something like that?
I think my biggest skeptics would just say, that's hogwash. That's it. That's it. They'll fit it into their personal. We live in so much information that like when you see people and their religion, with the amount of information that's just coming to us, people have had to construct ways to protect their own worldview, and they'll fit it in somehow into their worldview. I was on a channel and I was on UFO Man, and I was talking about. I just briefly talked about religion. I briefly talked like I celebrate Christmas. I love Jesus. Like it's my religion. It's what I grew up with. It's what my ancestors did for hundreds of years. It's not something I'm letting go of. That's what I'm going to do. And somebody got offended by that. And they said, before you start talking about religion, you need to have experts who are theologians, blah, 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 blah. You don't know anything about Christianity. And I was like, okay. So I wrote back, I'm like, I'm sorry if my spiritual perspective has offended you, but how do you fit this frame? How do you fit the extraterrestrial phenomenon in your own faith? I'm just curious. Lady said she had seen 4 aliens with her family and said God created those aliens. So she fit a whole meeting of grays or whatever into her. Sounds like a pretty fundamental belief in a religious system, And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, man, we're ready. We're ready. Well, if God created the saucers, everybody's ready. They'll fit it in. I don't know. And I just think it'll be like we wake up and no one cares. That's why I want to hang out with people like you and everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. John's here. What's up, John?
Hey, John. Hey, Julie. Good to see you guys. Always stop. Yeah. You guys are so sweet, both of you. Actually, everyone that's here is amazing. So thank you.
Totally.
Listening to just having an open discussion about our ideas and hopefully get to inspire and be informative in some way or another.
Yes. Yes.
And so you talked about hogwash if that were to happen because of the whole narrative with the government. But let's just say they did come out with disclosure. Okay, let's just have wishful thinking. All right. What would be your wish list if that would come out? Like, what would you want on the disclosure papers?
Oh yeah. So I would definitely just release the information about Roswell. We have been talking about that a lot because there's a lot of confusion about it. And some people, and I think this is an interesting hypothesis because one of my friends grew up in Roswell and I had her on my show. Like she's a Roswell expert. She actually used to be in charge of the research room. This was her job at the International UFO Museum in Roswell. So she's written a couple papers. So I had her on and we were talking And we were talking about how Roswell is just this really religious town. No one thinks it's real. Everyone I've talked to from Roswell, they're like, the aliens. Okay. You guys like make the majority of your money from the festival because like twice the population goes there every year for it. And so she was saying that the documentation that had been found is that they purchased three coffins, three tiny coffins, the military. There's a receipt floating around somewhere. I mean, obviously, there's so many things that I want to track down that like I wish I could find that receipt. But why would you buy three coffins for aliens? If we found alien bodies, we should be looking at their composition. If they died, we should be analyzing them. They would be a total donation to science without their consent. But that's, and so if they so the hypothesis that I have heard, and I do want them to come across is you have Hitler with the flying saucers, that people think Hitler developed the flying saucers. And some people have speculated that maybe what Hitler had done was built these craft, right? Because they had built the nuclear bomb down in Alamogordo. That's where Project Manhattan happened in New Mexico, right? And if they're looking over, Hitler's checking out the nuclear bomb being developed. Some people say, and this is really sad, that the three people who were in that craft could have very well been three deformed Jewish children. And I think about that and I'm like, well, why would you buy three coffins for an alien? Unless this was so horrific, we're going to do some justice to the world and we're going to bury these children the way they need to be because Hitler is scum. That makes a lot more sense to me too. I could see Hitler doing crazy, horrible things like that, right? Who couldn't? So I don't know. If they came out and they just told us that story, at least it'd be like, okay, interesting. We did make a big deal out of that.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a little... I haven't heard that theory, so that was a shock.
Yeah, and then the whole Area 51, the only reason they told us about that was because Julian Assange had his WikiLeaks document dropped, and there was an email there of somebody, there was an email going to Area 51. It was like, hey, dude in Area 51, this is Frank, how's it going out there? And then like from that moment on, I remember like reading a sentence here in an article, and then like from that moment on, they were like, yeah, it's here. They moved it though. I'm sure it's not at Area 51.
It's so popular in that whole thing with
I want to go
to Area 51 last year. A lot of things probably moved to a more secret location. But Benjamin has a question, and he says, "Hi, Amy. Have you read any of Dave Jacobs' books about abduction?"
No, I haven't. But I will now because abductions are becoming my interest. I'm reading John Mack, Zimbabwe guy, Harvard, who went down there. But I will, thank you for the suggestion. My favorite UFO book is The Science of Ufology. That was my favorite one. I found it in a used bookstore about 20 years ago, and it talked about how you can, like we're talking about, scientifically, objectively prove that UFOs exist. This was before everybody was talking about aliens. And that's what makes anyway. Like I said, that's why I started a show, Cristina. This is like actually just for the people in my life who they just like shut up, baby. So but it's fun because you guys are into it. You guys liked it. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is fun, and I think for my generation, the younger generation, it's a little bit more. It's just interesting. We have all the information. We can find books. We have internet access, and now it's just finding like-minded people to have that conversation. Nick Trent says that Annie Jacobsen said that it was the Russians who sent the deformed UFO occupants to Roswell from a payoff.
Wow. See, that's interesting. And it's interesting to be objective because maybe that's what happened. Why would we buy coffins for aliens? I understand it's like a good thing to do, but I just see them analyzing the hell out of an alien body and keeping genetic samples, and like I just don't see them burying the evidence of the greatest find of. So I don't know, but maybe they didn't bury them. Maybe they are locked up in a lab somewhere. Who knows?
I mean, who knows? It's kind of like the same thing of, not related to aliens at all, but having that stuff in a lab sometimes stolen. I mean, look at Albert Einstein's brain. That was stolen. And we don't
Oh,
even know
wow.
where it is and what it's being researched on, because he had
Whoa.
one of the more smarter brains that died, and people have, well, certain people have access to do research on. So that could be the case for anything else that we, the public, don't know about. And even if we did know about it, what would we do with that information? What do you think if we knew that there were alien bodies, right, by the government running tests, things of that nature? What do you think people would react to that? Like,
I think people would. I think if a photo of an alien popped up, and I think it has. And this is a photo. If I think of an alien of a photo popped up, people wouldn't care. It would be the same reaction. It would have to be like the UFO footage that came up from the Pentagon. The government would have to say like Skitty Bob's real, right? That would be the next step. Like that would be huge. If they're like, all right, guys, the Skinny Bob footage, we'll be honest with you. This is what they look like. And I don't know if I should be talking, but I know like the Cousins brothers, they saw an alien in their room when they were children. They don't talk about it much. And I don't think they want me talking about it, but whatever. So they found an alien. An alien came into their room, and it's interesting because it's like when you have a sibling in your room, you can't discredit it. And so I would say, we were talking about how do you believe that somebody saw it? Well, I believe they saw it. I totally believe they saw it. Mostly they're twins, so they could confirm with each other that they saw it, right? And then they were saying in the other day in one of the live chats that they thought what they saw looked like Skinny Bob. That has always been that's interesting. Like those are people who they don't want to mess with everybody. They got enough popularity. They don't have to lie to get people interested in them. So yeah, I don't think so. I think if they showed us a picture of an alien, I just think people are just going to go along with their little worldviews. I think you and me will be happy. I think some people who are arrogant will say they always knew. Like I said, I'm going to be arrogant. I'm going to be like not humble. I'm going to say, I know. And then when they're saying, well, we already knew that. No, man, it's just going to be a wrath. That's why I started the show. It's because I'm going to take them back. And I'm going to say, on this day, you didn't believe me. When we were talking about this, you didn't believe me. Like, why? Why? This is like the greatest thing of all time. Like, you can still fix your worldview around this in some way. People do it with science all the time. We have for hundreds of years found a way to connect our spirituality to our religion and our science. And I don't know. So
and now we have TV shows to find things to relate to. We have other people, other icons that we're like, yeah, I want to relate to them. So then from that, what has been one of your favorite TV shows based off of what we're talking about today? Like what's something that you like, that you feel is good for others, and that has kind of just helped you grasp things better or even entertain you?
Yeah. So I remember being with my husband 12 years ago, and we were watching Ancient Aliens episode 1 in his apartment. It was our first few months dating, and seeing Puma Punku. Is that it? I don't know. Puma Pink. I can't remember the name of it, but it was obviously had to be drilled with precision lasers, precision diamond tools, perfectly angular. Okay, stuff that cannot be denied. We did not make that. Or somebody else did, or some human or some alien came down and built a hut to live in for a little bit down here. I don't know, but you look at that, and so Ancient Aliens episode 1 was yes, you guys, this was the final. It's okay to believe in this. And it was on the History Channel, which meant a lot more back then. Right. When something was on the History Channel, it was like, oh, okay, I want to learn about the Civil War. Yeah, fact after fact after fact. So to have a show that went fact after fact, and are talking about archaeology, we're including it. We're having a little story time, maybe it was an alien, but we always go back to the evidence. And that was, that put it all into perspective for me. They've always been here. They're here chilling. The painting, the Roman paint, or the one about the Virgin Mary, and then like she's holding Jesus, and there's like this tiny little UFO up here, you know. Like, it's everywhere. Like, once we just accept it, you will see that it's everywhere, and it's nothing to be scared of. They've been here for a long time, and they would have heard us already if they wanted to. But yeah, you know, they don't want to mess with us. They don't want to hurt us. That's why they're not making themselves public. If anything, it would hurt us. You know, we'd fight. We'd fight them. We already tried to in the White House in 1952. They were like, we're going to land on the White House lawn. And yeah, we attacked them with F-16s, and, you know, they tried. And then after that, like, why try even more? They figured it out that day. We're going to flip out and get all our military on you. Who are you? What? We're scared. We're scared. And maybe what it is we haven't evolved into the fifth, like our consciousness hasn't evolved to the next level. I do think that's huge. I think when you're just like chilling, meditating on a mountain all day long on some alien planet, you're probably making connections with other people on other planets who have these capabilities. We're just not there. And that's like, people talk about like the next awakening. Like, what's the next awakening? Well, it's opening up our minds. We have all the information we need. We have everything we need. And when you look at, you know, the science of your mind and how crazy things are, and that people have done remote viewing for military operations, like in that movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats. When you look at this kind of stuff, that's the component that's missing. And if we, you know, connected with them, like Stephen Greer is saying, he connects with them. I don't know. Maybe he does.
Even before the next awakening, even before meditation and all of these aspects, just having the insight of knowing, having it being public talk, getting people to just be more open to the topic first, I think is just as beneficial as having this next awakening. Yes, they're very separate, but you can't have one without the other. You know what I mean? So just having it open, talking about it, having these conversations that we're having. And the nice thing is that right now we are getting more self-disclosure with more TV shows, movies, even fiction and nonfiction books. It's being talked about more. And I think with a lot of the media, a lot to do with Hollywood, they are somehow kind of working with others to give off that soft disclosure. For example, there's this brand new TV show called Debris. It's on the Sci-Fi Channel. Have you seen it? Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. And it came out right when the Debris came out, right when they released that Bigelow was holding weird alloy that could go out. Yeah. So weird. They do it all the time.
Yeah, it's things like that keep people aware enough, but still thinking that it's fiction. But if it did happen, they could relate back to the movie, back to the TV show, and saying, this is how they handled it. We might as well handle it the same way. In that kind of respect. Of course, for example, I've heard a lot of stories, it's not also related to aliens, but a lot of stories that people that have watched Grey's Anatomy, right? Seen all the seasons, they think that they're now a doctor and they can handle people that are wounded, right? And in some cases, they achieve that because they had that TV knowledge that is fiction, but still has some fact behind it to help them navigate through those kinds of situations. The same thing can happen with these alien TV shows, movies that we're watching today. It can help us navigate if that does happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I don't know what it is. Like, because I didn't believe in the soft disclosure thing till I was talking to UFO Jane about it. And she got me into the idea. And then when she brought it up, especially when I look at everything, like, that's why I like doing it on a weekly basis and reviewing the news, because that's when I see like the slow disclosure. It's interesting that all of this is happening while we're going to Perseverance and we're on Mars, and Linda Moulton Howe and all the scientists say we're going to find something, because the second we find it on Mars, I guess phosphine in Venus has been disproven. So I have to look more into that. That's what Rich Northwood was saying. And, we're going to find it and it's going to be perfect. And we just have to keep pushing. And the government should just tell us what's going to happen. No one's going to flip out. Like, what worst thing could happen? Like, how we were desensitized to trauma and panic. Like, it's okay. Just like we fit this last apocalypse in, we'll fit the next one in. It's not even going to be that bad. Like, I'll still be able to go to McDonald's the next day. Like, oh, the aliens are real. Woohoo! But McDonald's is still open, drive-through. Like, it's not going to change anything. If anything, we're ready. We're all so traumatized. We're ready.
Like enthusiasm.
Yes, we're ready. What's going to happen? All right, cool. Most people are into it.
People watching this. I also want to know what you guys think. Do you think that we are ready for disclosure? Do you truly believe that there won't be a mass panic, mass hysteria? Let me know so we can talk about it before we're about to close up. So we're going to cover just a few more things, and then that will be it for today. But please let me know what you guys think, because I everyone has a different opinion on this, and in my case, I
want to hear about your gen. I want to hear about this talk about your generation, because it's incredibly interesting to me, because I was trying to figure it out the other day and I was like, her generation. My question for you is, what is your generation lacking and why do you need to inform them?
So lacking, I would say, because we have all the information is there. It's just
right.
It's just stepping away from TikTok, right, and Instagram and all these selfie pictures into diverting that attention to something more of interest. And I think the thing that's lacking is people that are their age, they can't relate to older people that are boring, that have a 10-minute long intro when our attention span's only a few seconds. You only have this much time to grab my generation's attentions, which is awful. I'm so sorry, but I'm the same way. You have 5 seconds. If you don't pass my 5 seconds, I'm out.
Right.
Really sad.
Well, and I'm the same. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what I want to do when I'm doing with this channel is really not giving my opinion about things, but just giving out the information that is out there, and for them to decide what they want to believe or not. Because we can always force feed our opinion. We can always try to push it, and people will believe it, absolutely, in some cases. But at the same time, having that free thought to think for your own has more value when you sit back, digest it, contemplate, get more curious, than having that information already there for you on a plate. It's like, okay, I have it. It's not really that valuable because I didn't work for it.
That's interesting, because I just realized that you guys probably didn't books, probably not so much. That's interesting, because I do feel like a lot of the information's controlled. So I'm turning to a lot of physical books to kind of get information. I'm actually going to go review the Phoenix Lights documentary. So that's interesting to me, because you're right. And I'm on the same wavelength with, I don't understand why people make 40-minute videos for something that they're going to say with 5. And you know what? With a 5-minute video, you can still get good monetization. You could still get good things going out of it. People, and you want engagement. You want people to watch the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know. And I agree with you. Sometimes I just go on, I like it when it's quick. I like what Unidentified Celebrity Review's doing. He does his quick little 8-10, and I'm like, okay, it's an 8-10 minute thing. And I'm like, oh man, that was cool. All right, we talked about stuff for the day. That was cool. But yeah, your generation, because I kind of get the feeling that you guys already believe. Yeah. They just can't rally for the information. Is that kind of what's going on? Because people don't rally. People haven't rallied for the information. The first political movement we saw was Stephen Greer in 2001 at the Speakers Press Club, right? Where he got all the people. And then the second one I've ever seen, or maybe I talked about the political party. That was the second one I'd ever seen, the Florida Disclosure Party. And then #the big phone home. And #the big phone home is the biggest one I've ever seen. Lewis has got that all organized in a crazy way. Here's New Mexico, here's the congressperson you contact. And I'm like, whoa, now it's getting political. And this is the first huge political movement I've ever seen with this. And it should be actively pursued. Not only do the people who request FOIA, Freedom of Information Act stuff, not only do they request it, but they put their money on the line. They say, I'm willing to put my money, I will pay for whatever thing I have to pay for, which if it's the government, they could say, okay, well, here's this person I hired for 40 grand. Give me 40 grand. That's going to take 40 grand. I don't know how much they charge. How much would they charge? You know, so they're even offering an unset amount of money to get that information. As even that Greenwald guy who found the debris and got the FOIA request for that. And so they're filling out FOIA requests left and right now. And every single day is exciting.
It is.
Gotta be part of the party. I'm not just going to sit back and be quiet. Like, this is fun. Podcasts, hang out with some really cool people. Yeah.
I don't know. Every day is definitely different from the last. I mean, we're getting more disclosure. There's more topics coming out there. More people are opening their eyes. More people are having this kind of conversation, even with laymen. I mean, because we're not scientists or theorists, I would classify myself as a layman. Layman, yeah. So, and I find that very, I wouldn't say endearing, but it's more acceptable because we're not like these high people being like, oh yeah, I know I have all the information, I'm a genius. It's like, no, I'm learning with you. You don't know everything. You're learning as you go. New information's always coming out, and you have to be on the ball. If you miss one day, you're already out of date. You're already vintage.
Yes, it's just so fast now. And that's the thing. It's just happening so fast. It wasn't happening this fast a year or two ago. It wasn't. And it's just like, oh my gosh, we got to get on board with this, and we need to talk about it, and we need to make it like a real thing. And I just, like you were saying, like when I talk to an 18-year-old about this topic, they're like, yeah, it's real. Slow disclosure totally worked on them. They're like, yeah, it's real. Of course it is. Of course, Amy. Yeah.
Yeah, duh. But they don't have the information
to a 40-year-old, and a 40-year-old like, you're a crazy woman. Who do you think you are? I'm like, but I have information. Watch my show. And then
that is it for today. Amy, please tell us where you can find your YouTube channel and whatever else you want to talk about. I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, cool guys. Yeah. So if you want to follow my channel, it's AlienGirl111. I am going to be going live this Saturday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can also find me on Twitch. I highly recommend that you check out my Twitter account, AlienGirl111. Also, Paper Crane 111 is the original handle if you have trouble finding it. I tweet nonstop whenever I see somebody on that's interesting. Linda Moulton Howe. If you want to be updated on when somebody goes live and alive, definitely follow me on Twitter. Have some fun. Throw out your opinion. But between those two, those are probably the best ways to contact me and on YouTube, and come say hi. Send me pictures of aliens if you have them. I'd love to show them. And yeah, so I'm just gonna check out the chat. Is anyone knows a good movie about aliens, whether documentary films or sci-fi movies? That's what we got here with Beto B. I actually have never seen Dune, so I'm going to see Dune. But yeah, guys, follow me, AlienGirl111. I just love it so much. I love everybody who comes and checks out the show. We're all our big UFO live chat fam. And yeah, so I'm just going to go through here. I'm going to see if there's so many people here. I can't even believe we just had so much fun, guys. I don't know what happened. Sorry. I just was trying to keep the feed going. Are we? Oh, we're still.
So, thank you, Amy, so much for joining us today. It was a lot of fun. You had some great insight. And I will place all the links in the description box below for all of her social media. You can go ahead and follow her. Also, I have all my links below, like Twitter. I post a ton of stuff up to date about space news every single day. Follow it. It's really fantastic. And subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like this podcast. They're going to start being every single week with other people to interview, or I guess chat with, and get to hear their insights on it. Thank you everyone for stopping by, and remember, keep your eyes on the sky.